Welcome back into GamecockCentral.com's takeover of 107.5 The Game, your home of the Gamecocks. We are now joined on our guest line by a very, very special guest, Gamecocks brand new quarterback commit, Ryan Hilinski. Ryan, first of all, thanks for joining us from Hawaii, and I know you've done a bunch of interviews, man. Have you been enjoying your South Carolina press tour so far?
Oh, absolutely. It's a pleasure, man. Getting to know all of these guys. I'm going to know them for the next 4 years. I'm not complaining. If I can do interviews from Hawaii, I shouldn't be complaining.
Yeah, are you looking at the beach right now, or what's the scenery in Hawaii right now, Ryan?
Yeah, so actually it's kind of like a little bit of hurricane weather. It's a little rainy, super windy. So they kind of barricaded us in our rooms, and my older brother's in the other room, and we're playing a little bit of Fortnite. So I'm looking at the beach from the inside, but I'm enjoying my California lifestyle from the inside.
Any victories on Fortnite today?
Oh, we've gotten 3 already, 3 in a row, and then I took this call.
Okay, there you go. Awesome. Again, joined by Ryan Hilinski. So, Ryan, let's go back. I know I was looking back at our interviews with you. You first got offered by South Carolina like very early September, I think. At what point? I know you took the first visit to South Carolina,
yes,
a couple of months ago, and then you took the most recent one to the spring game. At what point in your mind, even if you didn't say it necessarily, at what point did your mind start to say, okay, South Carolina is starting to go from a place that, it's cool, I got an offer, I want to check them out, to, hey, this might be the place I actually end up at?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy journey. I know like you said, when I got offered way back then, Coach Muschamp's relationship with me hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
He's been the real same guy since day one, and while I was on this trip and after that second visit to the spring game, I kind of felt it then a little bit. I was like, man, this is a special place. And then it just hit my heart the other day that I think South Carolina is a place for me. And I told Kelly, and I said, hey, Kelly, I think it's the right place. And he said, okay, let's go ask Ty. So then we went and spread Tyler's ashes at the lighthouse here in Hawaii. And I asked him, I said, hey, Ty, you think it's a good place for me? And I got a yes. So ever since then, I just, you know what, I'm 110% bought in. If Tyler supports it, my brother and my parents support it, then I'm all in, all gas, no brakes, like Coach Muschamp likes to say.
There you go. And Ryan, I guess as far as being a California kid coming out to South Carolina, I would guess you didn't have any idea what to expect from the state of South Carolina. What was just the first thing, or what was the biggest difference, maybe just the state of California to the state of South Carolina? Was there anything about it that just surprised you or caught your eye more than anything?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I told Kelly this the same. I said the people. You guys are probably the nicest people I've ever met. I haven't met one soul that doesn't like me out there, even if they're just a check-in manager at the Marriott, I think that's the biggest thing, because California, we get a bad rep for people, but it's kind of true. We're always not the nicest people. We get a little bit of road rage, but I just think that South Carolina is a great place where there's a supportive community, and that's what I think is way different from California first when I got there.
Ryan, Chris Clark here. Thanks again for taking some time to join us. Wanted to ask you about something you mentioned earlier with Coach Muschamp and the relationship that he built with you, before you got the offer, afterwards, and then obviously that South Carolina had a change at the coordinator position with Brian McClendon coming on, and then Coach Werner, who I know has been instrumental in your recruitment as well. And what makes the relationship with Coach Muschamp and then those other guys so strong? I mean, what was sort of, I guess, the pitch, and why were you so comfortable with them?
Yeah, I think just the big thing about it is their confidence in me. I mean, they've shared the same message with me since day one, and I know getting farther here on my recruiting as I progressed in my career, they seemed a little bit more motivated to recruit me. But, I mean, Coach Muschamp sends us pictures of him catching fish. He puts me and my parents in a group chat. He said, hey, caught a big one today. Need you here at South Carolina. And it's just cool to see that because I know he genuinely cares about my parents and my future. And then Coach Werner, we shared some personal stories of stuff that he's gone through in his life, very similar to mine. And it's just good to have that relationship with the coach where you can talk about stuff off the field as serious as what we talked about. It's just good to have that. And then, of course, Coach McClendon, I mean, me and him talk about fast food restaurants every other day. And when he comes out to California, where we're going to eat. So it's just good to have that type of relationship, that casual, comfortable relationship with those coaches, where they care about me as a person, not only as a football player.
Now, you guys have In-N-Out, right, in California?
Yeah.
Is
yes,
that like the go-to? Because we don't have that here.
That is
so
the
is
go-to.
that what?
Yeah, that's
Right.
like Chick-fil-A.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, when I went out to California, and I can't remember. I don't think there was a Chick-fil-A where I was at. Do you guys do you get to experience the Chick-fil-A?
We have Chick-fil-A's, but it's
Okay.
it's not as big as In-N-Out here in Cali.
Right. Okay. So you'll be taking McClendon there. I got you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Ryan, tell us about obviously anybody with the internet nowadays. Anybody can look up your films, scouting reports, things like that. But describe in your own words what you feel like you're going to bring to the program from a skill set perspective, as far as being able to throw, move around, things like that. But also just what you're going to bring to the locker room and what you're going to bring to the team with leadership.
Well, look, I want to be a guy for the stuff. I'm not just coming on to sit back and then learn. I'm going to sit back and learn from Jake, but I want to be a guy that can help as much as I can. If that's on the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, it doesn't really matter, because I know I have a work ethic. I mean, last year at this time, my only offer was Montana State, and now I'm pushing and I'm working hard, and I think that's the biggest thing I pride myself on is my work ethic, because I don't let anybody tell me no. I don't take no for an answer, and I just work my butt off. And the biggest thing I want to bring to South Carolina is just my work ethic and my happy attitude. I'm probably one of the happiest guys you'll ever meet. I never really have a down day unless maybe In-N-Out's closed on a Sunday or something like that. But that's one of the things I really want to bring is just a work ethic, and I really think we can start something special there at South Carolina. I've already talked to a couple of recruits that are thinking of going there, and I really think talking to Coach Muschamp and Coach Werner and Coach McClendon that we can actually start something special, if not they already started. So I think that's one of the biggest things I want to bring there is my work ethic and my happy attitude, and just being a guy for them that they can rely on, and just being a loyal Gamecock and a hardworking guy.
Yeah, Ryan, let's keep it right there with your what's your recruiting pitch maybe to some of these guys? And are there any guys you can name for us? Anybody you've already sort of working a little bit?
I think the biggest thing when I talk to these guys, I've already talked to a couple, like I said, is South Carolina's family. I mean, I've already gotten people DM me. I've already sent a couple letters out to some kids that want to have my autograph and stuff like that from South Carolina. I could just tell you guys are great people, and who doesn't want to be a part of that, right? And I've already talked to Chris Steele, a DB that I play against regularly during the season. He goes to Bosco, and I go to Olu, and it's always a head bash against us. But I know he's a great kid, and he's picked me off a couple times. So I think it'd be great to have him, and I've already talked to him a bunch. He tweeted out the other day that don't forget our talk, and he's excited to go out there for a visit soon. I've already talked to him about that. I've already talked to, I want to say it's Jason McCullough or something like that. Talked to him. He's a safety, and he texted me actually, and he said, "Hey, are we going to South Carolina?" before I actually committed, and I said, "Yes, sir." And he's like, "All right, I might make the move too." So it's good talking to him. I've talked to Paris Johnson Jr., a big lineman. We're trying to get him on board, and I've already talked to a couple of committed receivers that are excited to have me there.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And I think as far as the offense, your fit there, I know you talked about that a little bit right after the spring game. And we've been talking about how you and Jake maybe have similar skill sets out of high school.
Yeah.
What have you seen when you got to go to the spring game and just talking to Warner, McClendon, those guys, the RPO game, just sort of what they do compared to maybe what you do in high school?
Yeah, I mean, I've sat down and I've watched numerous accounts of film with Coach Warner and Coach McClendon. I could see me running those plays in a high school level, and I could see what I'm reading. He asks me questions. He's like, "What's you read on this?" And I'll tell him the second level defender safety. And he's like, "That's right on." And so I already get a feel for that offense, and it's the same thing we've run. And just talking to Jake a little bit, I could just tell that he's a great kid, and he's learned so much already from Coach Warner and Coach McClendon. And people have told me that me and Jake are very similar, and I just can't wait to learn from him and see what he's learned from Coach Werner and Coach Muschamp.
Now, I know you've said this is kind of you've been very open about it being a family decision, with Kelly coming out here as well, possibly. Have y'all sort of looked into the logistics of, like, when all that's going to happen, how that's going to work? Are you enrolling early in January?
I've already talked to my parents. They've already talked to me. They've already looked at houses and stuff like that. As soon as football season ends, I think they might go out, do a little couple walkthroughs with houses and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure once I go out for my official, I'm going to bring Kelly with me, just so we can talk to the medical school again, just get him squared away, make sure everything's okay with him. And then I think he's going to bring his girlfriend with him. So it's an in-family and out-of-family move.
Right.
And everybody's just bought in, and I'm super excited about it and to have this supportive system around me.
Awesome. Ryan, again, man, I know we thanked you earlier, but want to thank you again. Appreciate the time. I know you've had to do a bunch of interviews, so it's very much appreciated here. Go enjoy Hawaii, and I hope you get you another Fortnite victory royale, okay, man?
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks, man. Ryan Hilinski there, Gamecock's newest quarterback commitment. Awesome of him to join us. I think that's what that interview right there is what you get with Ryan. Very, very honest, very thoughtful in all of his answers, and you can sort of see the leadership ability already coming through there, all the way from Hawaii. So obviously, huge pickup for the Gamecocks, and interesting his guys he's already recruiting as well. Chris, we talked about this a little bit earlier. California, just not a state South Carolina has been able to dip into, especially straight out of high school. Now, the whole family's coming in this case. So it's not like, a kid leaving his family to go from California to South Carolina. But still, to dip into California, that's impressive by the staff. But then you start to hear Hilinski already reaching out to guys, talking to guys. And Chris Steele, the 5-star cornerback who you talked to, I guess that was last night, I've got an interview up with him on Gamecock Central. You start to see how other people that know this kid sort of gravitate to him. And I don't know if they can actually land Chris Steele, but it seems like they're very strongly in the conversation. You got a very insightful interview from him yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Ryan, it was sort of, for South Carolina and for him, the perfect storm. It was a perfect situation for both because, he was attracted to South Carolina, like he said, because of the people, because of the coaching staff. Obviously, there's an opportunity, he likes the offense, the area, but also the fact that, he's got an older brother who's at a juncture in his life where, he's ready to go off to school, to medical school, thought it was a good fit here. His parents are able to move, so that helps. And then for South Carolina, quarterback's a position where you can search more nationally, and they haven't had a lot of success dipping into California, obviously, but when you got a guy of his caliber that you can get and the situation works out, you do it. And, South Carolina's got a brand that can be certainly more national. We've seen that at times. And so if they've got a guy where they got a connection, for example, with Chris Steele, really the only connection is that, he just really likes T-Rob and Muschamp, but he knows Ryan and plays against him. And so those are the types of things that you can tap into, and it's just about getting kids on campus. I mean, Chris Steele told me in our talk with him that's up on Gamecock Central that, look, he didn't really know about South Carolina. He had some preconceived notions, and then he got on campus, and it was a lot different. And he really, really liked it, and he's a guy that they're going to probably be in the game with now. So really interesting stuff there from Hilinski. And I think everybody can sort of see why people, gravitate towards him and why we talk about his character and so glowingly, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that interview, like I just said a second ago, that interview, anytime you've ever interviewed the kid, that's what you just listened to is what you get from him. And I think there is a sense, and this is probably a lot of states, but if you've never been in a state, you have a certain maybe mindset about what a state is all about and what it's like. And then maybe you go visit it and you realize your preconceived notions were not true at all. So I think you're seeing that with Ryan Hilinski. You're seeing that with Chris Steele, and you got to see it here. I guess a little bit of his recruiting pitch to guys there. So and logistically, the whole family coming out here, all that stuff there. And I think we got somebody mentioned to me on Twitter, about South Carolina recruiting nationally at the quarterback position. And maybe we can dive into this a little bit after this break, but that is a position along with, I think, offensive line, where you almost have to go outside of your comfort zone, go outside of your normal little area, and go recruit guys. So, like I said, we'll hit a break. We'll be right back and try to close it out here on 107.5 Gamecock Central Takeover.